So 85% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Star Wars: The Acolyte is a shining beacon of lesbianism in space. People love it. Those people being 130. Critics, 10,000 plus normal people thought it was absolute dog doo-doo. 19% audience score. But we're the ones ruining it, actually. We're the problem. We're the problem. Apparently, a minority is ruining the entirety of Star Wars. So says Inverse. And this is just one of many, but we're going to focus on the Inverse article because it's just comical, of course. And I just think it's very, very funny. So this is what you expect when these things come out. Of course, you know, mainstream media decides to run laps, trying to defend utter shite, because that's what they do, bizarrely. And then they just blame everyone else but themselves. There's no accountability in Hollywood. If there was, they'd take a good, long, hard look in the mirror and go, the tax rebate ain't worth this. We should have started from scratch. So here's an article on Inverse. Again, this is indicative of many articles around the internet. The Acolyte isn't ruining Star Wars. You are. That's right, ladies and gents. You are. And you know what? When I first read this, I thought, well, where's my paycheck then? Because Leslie Headland's ruining Star Wars and she's getting paid for it. So where's my paycheck? I want my millions. I want to get paid. I want to fail up. Okay? I want to fail up in life just like Leslie Headland does. It's not, life's not fair. All right? If I'm ruining it, give me some money to do it as well, please. Anyway, Lucasfilm's latest series is the franchise's most promising yet. So says Inverse. But fans are too blinded by their hate to see it. That's right. It's your fault. You can't see it because you just hate it, apparently. Logic. No one hates Star Wars more than those who claim to be Star Wars fans. Nick, you claim to be a Star Wars fan, buddy.
I claim to be an OT Star Wars fan. I'm not a Disney Star Wars fan.
So what you're saying is you're a recovering Star Wars fan, like an addict. You've managed to wean yourself off of it and realize that they're spooning you shit now.
Yeah, from Disney. Yeah, 100%.
It says, sure, the past few years has given the fandom plenty of critique. The sequels splintered the fan base beyond recognition, and Lucasfilm's efforts to expand the galaxy on the small screen have been mixed at best. So they're saying it's bad. And in some cases, criticism is inevitable. No, criticism is inevitable because criticism can both be good and bad. You morons. Understand the language you use. Criticism is not necessarily always bad. You can have positive criticism, right? Criticism is always inevitable. You put out anything. The very purpose of media is to be criticized. That's its purpose. It's its central function, whether it be received positive or negatively. Anyway. It says, not everyone will find something to like in the franchise's recent output. At a certain point, though, the discourse reaches a fever pitch, and even Lucasfilm's most promising projects get swept up in the drama. The Acolyte is not the first Star Wars project to face the brunt of fan backlash, and it likely won't be the last. But the new live-action series is also one of the best additions. It's one of the best additions to the galaxy far, far away in a long time. Nick, I want to cope check on this, mate. Embracing decades of nostalgia. Has it embraced decades of nostalgia, Nick? Do you know this?
Absolutely not. It has not embraced decades of nostalgia at all. There's nothing nostalgic about anything in this. Not anything whatsoever at all. Not even kind of.
I didn't think so either. But there's more.
So with that said, I've got to bounce, guys.
Okay. Sorry, dude.
Yep, it's all good. Got some crap I got to deal with and take care of, but always enjoy being here. You guys be sure to smash that like button on the way out and send super chats via Streamlabs. It's the better way to do it.
It'll be done.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
That was an awesome video you guys put out earlier. So check out the most recent video from Echo Base Network about the role of Satanism in the Acolyte. Just plugging that for them since Nick forgot to do so. Usually that's conspiracy theory, but they do a very strong case in that one.
Yeah. We'll get to that in a minute. So it says, embracing decades of nostalgia whilst also thinking critically on the franchise's legacy. that what? That doesn't make sense to me. Even I don't understand where they're going with that as a sentence. It doesn't make sense. And it says it also might be the most. Oh, there you go. That's why we can't critique it. It might also be the most diverse Star Wars story yet. That's right. It's diverse. All right. And while that's definitely a boon for marginalized fans, there you go, because you must see yourself on screen, apparently. It's made the Acolyte the target of a vocal splinter of the fandom. Whether you know them as the fandom menace or a cluster of blue checkmark users on Twitter. Isn't that funny? I remember when blue checkmarks on Twitter were an authority. Now you lambast them. Now everyone can be one. If you pay, that's it. Blue checkmark means nothing. Piss off. It's impossible to escape their orbit. The same folks that review bomb diverse swings like Marvel's Eternals, which was absolutely god-awful, so shut the fuck up. And the Lord of the Rings prequel, The Rings of Power, which was equally god-awful. Inverse, like, do you want any credibility in your article? Are you high? Have now set their sights on the Acolyte. To hear them tell it, the series is the worst thing that's ever happened to Star Wars. I mean, it actually is the worst. It is the worst reviewed thing in Star Wars. It is actually the worst, yes. Inverse, yes, it actually is the worst. And Leslie Headland is just as fiendish as Kathleen Kennedy. To them, Acolyte's woke agenda is something to be feared. No, to be laughed at, not feared. We don't care. We're not losing money. We don't give a shit. We're not afraid of it. It's ruining Star Wars. It's poisoning pop culture itself. It needs to be stopped by any means necessary. No, please, no, don't stop it, right? Don't stop it. Please, God, don't stop it so that I can please finally buy my mid-70s Toyota Celica. I don't want you to stop it. Please keep putting it out so I can keep reviewing it, so I can buy this, and then maybe I can buy a garage and a bigger house, buy me a mansion with this absolute garbage, and you will all laugh and watch at these videos, and it'll be amazing. No, I don't want you to stop it. Don't stop it. Absolutely hell no. Anyway, there's some more garbage here and there. It says, it's not outright shocking to see something like the Acolyte marred by racist, misogynist, and even anti-LGBTQ backlash. The Star Wars devotees would share multiple bad faith treaties about the series on YouTube or tank its audience on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, 10,000 plus people tank. Yeah, it was just all review bombs. Piss off. It's just par for the course at this point. This, after all, is the fandom that launched consistent attacks against actors like John Boyega. No, we didn't. We defended John Boyega. Andre, I think you've done a video on this anyway, so I'm going to
I have indeed. I will just say that the name of the publication, Inverse, is very apt because this is an inversion of reality. This article here is pure and total gaslighting through and through. And what's so interesting here is, who is the audience for this article? Well, that would be the people who ordered it, namely Disney marketing or Kathleen Kennedy herself, because it's written from their point of view. As in, we are the good people, and our worldview is that diversity, equity, and inclusion is good, and everyone who fights against that in any way, shape, or form is evil. And also, the majority of people in the world are also just like us, because everyone is like that right here in our little North Korea, because it's that big much of a bubble with that much mind control on American soil. Right here in LA, this is how we feel, and this is how we assume everyone in the world feels. So this is generally their worldview. This is what they think. They think that it's just some vocal minorities out there, these horrible people on YouTube, which now suddenly has blue check marks on Twitter, right as they lost them themselves. These horrible people. And they're so few, but they're so loud. And there's no way you can escape their reach. They're so few, but they have this massive reach. And they convince everyone, and they must be stopped. Otherwise, they're going to ruin Star Wars for the rest of us, the majority. Of course, in reality, they are the minority. And we are the ones that speak for the majority. We are the voice of the fans, of the integrity of the franchise, and that makes us the voice of the silent minority. And the numbers bear that out. You only need to look at Rotten Tomatoes. True. I mean, you put it so succinctly yourself. 150 people gave this positive review among the critics. That's who this is for. That's the one sharing this worldview. And then you have the 10,000 plus others. And how high does that counter go? I mean, is there something over 10,000. They say 10,000 plus. Does that mean 11,000, 76,000, 150,000, 300,000? What is in that 10,000 plus? We don't know. But what we do know is that that is the majority. We are the majority. And because it says right here, problem is nothing has changed in the 10 years since this vocal minority suddenly cried. No. That's the brainwashed point of view. And it says right here, they've yet to learn their lesson. Which lesson would that be? That diversity, equity, and inclusion is good? No, inverse. It's you that haven't learned your lesson. Namely, that you are crazy people living in an echo chamber. You're the one that hasn't learned a lesson. And again, the numbers bear that out. And it's easy for Inverse because they probably got paid to do this article. The real question here is, how long are Disney shareholders going to stand for this? Because they are the ones who lose on this. Specifically, everyone that has bought into Disney the last 10 or so years. And everyone that's been there longer. Well, they just saw their market cap reduced by 24% this year, and by 50% since the high watermark. So they are the ones paying the price for this. When are they going to learn? Apparently never, because they had the opportunity to boot this shitboard and get in Nelson Peltz, and they did take advantage of it. So this is going to continue until some adults come in and take charge. And since Disney has these passive investors and some investors that even like this, it can carry on for as long as they're willing to shoot money into it, believe it or not. But this can continue for quite a while. But the only ones that needs to learn a lesson here are the likes of Inverse. You do not speak for the people. You speak for the 150 journos.
Yeah, well, you're wrong, Andre. No offense, mate. I take that on board, but you're wrong. The origins of this toxicity aren't difficult to figure out. It boils down to entitlement.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Many male fans feel like they own the franchise. I mean, they do by virtue of a capitalist society, actually, dickhead. You do actually, again, as I've just repeated it again and again, you do have to cater to them. If they are the majority of the fan base, funnily enough, there is an ownership there, actually, by virtue of them being the purchasers of your product. So you want a product to sell it to the people directly. Like, you have to do that.
But you're talking common sense now. They're talking ideology. In their worldview, the majority is already on board and will stay on board no matter what they do. So they're just going to increase the audience so everyone can see themselves, because what they haven't figured out is that inclusion is exclusion. If there's one lesson they really need to learn, it is that.
Well, I mean, this stupid comment here, it's even harder for any non-white, non-male creatives hoping to tell stories within the franchise. I mean, that's nonsense. Like, they're trying to make out that this is racist. And Olaf super chatted and says, Nate, remember the Inverse writer is an LGBTQ plus X whatever colored woman. She fits the audience for this excrement, I think you meant. But yeah, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? Is that at the end of the day, like, you're trying to claim that you're trying to rewrite history and say that people hated John Boyega. No, we didn't actually. A lot of us defended John Boyega. We were like, why didn't you do more with him as a character? Like, that was a wasted character. What are you doing? Kelly Marie Tran, again, we were like, why did you make her ugly? She's an attractive person. You made her look rancid. Why did you uglify her? It was in defense. Like, a lot of the comments were in defense, right? Like, what? Anyway, Bo, get a unit.
I mean, Andre made some brilliant points, some really, really brilliant points there, I thought. The name of this website, Inverse, that's very telling. It's gaslighting, and gaslighting is quite a nice way of describing something that's really, really mean-spirited and horrible, and again, bordering on sort of psychological abuse. It's sort of really, really gross thing, what we call gaslighting. It's telling you you're wrong when you're right. It's insisting that up is down and all those sorts of things. Trying to make you think that you're mad when you're not. But yeah, if there's one other thing I could add to the sort of list of the things that they say we're entitled for, that we just don't like people of color, we just don't like lesbians or homosexuals or stuff or whatever. Yeah, I also don't really like stories about little kids, to be quite honest. No, I'm a grown man. I'm not interested in little kids, right? There's this thing, the Lisa Simpson syndrome, where little kids can be extremely deep and interesting and have something to say. Yeah, but in reality, they don't. They can't. That's a bit harsh on little kids, but there you go. They're not interesting, right? So it's like, do you remember when Jaden Smith was still little and they cast him in that Karate Kid film? When he was a little kid, right? The whole point of the original Karate Kid films with Daniel's son was that he'd sort of at least begun puberty and he was sort of older, he was sort of quite tall, and he was sort of, it was believable that he might be able to have an actual fight, a grown-up fight, right? It was sort of believable. But when they put that little Jaden Smith, when he was still little, and he's supposed to be good at fighting, it's like, come on, get real. And it's the same with the little Anakin Skywalker. It's like, yeah, I'm not interested in like a 6 or 7 year old. Come on, tell me an adult, tell me a real story about real people. It's the same with these two little girls, particularly in episode 3. It's like, why am I supposed to care what they think or feel about anything? And that's not even that they're girls or black. It's like, I'm just being honest, right? It's like, come on, like you're just alienating us very, very deliberately as the audience. So okay.
No, it's good because you echo a lot of my thoughts that I say quite often. Whenever I say it in I don't know if I've said it on this podcast. I must have done because we must have had reviews of movies. I bloody hate child actors. I hate child actors. They're the worst. The best thing a child actor can be is not annoying. I don't want to see child actors. They don't act. They can't act. I'm not interested in watching child actors. They annoy the ever-loving piss out of me. God.
Yeah, anyway. It's very, very, very rare that a child actor sort of can hold a movie or is any good at acting. Because acting, perhaps like writing or creating any sort of art, you need to have lived a life first. You need to have loved and lost. You need to have understand the depths of despair and the heights of joy and all that sort of thing to be remotely believable. A little kid has got none of that. It is possible. There's a kid in The Sixth Sense. What's the actor's name? And he was in AI. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah. He's one of the very few kids.
Haley Joel Osment.
There you go. One of the very, very few exceptions where you're like, okay, he's actually believable on sort of an intellectual and emotional level. Super rare, but it does happen. But these two little girls, I'm getting nothing. Yeah. I'm getting nothing from them. Like, what do you want from me? Oh, I really want to know what happens to them and how they feel and what they think. No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Bo, but we're gonna have to keep watching it, mate. All right, for Thursday. Right. Sorry, dude.
To be fair, though, even if it was Haley Joel Osment with the script that Leslie Headland had written there, he wouldn't have been able to do any more with it.
Yeah, it's poorly written.
It really is. Go on, Culture. Let's get your opinion now, buddy.
I'm not surprised. This is the same playbook that we expect every single time they put out dog shit. So, and I don't curse very much, so that tells you how strong my feelings are about that. But the particular moments in this that separate it from Star Wars started at the very beginning of episode 1. This, if it didn't have the name Star Wars on it, would still be a terrible show, but it wouldn't be contaminating what was left of, the fandom for this product. And while I understand I'm going to be forced to watch 5 more episodes, good gravy, I will acknowledge that at the end of it, I will no longer have any fandom for anything outside of the original trilogy, because where do all the roads lead? To Rey throwing the lightsaber over her shoulder and saying that her last name is Skywalker, despite the fact that she's a Palpatine. All roads lead to Rey, and apparently they all start with scissoring.
Apparently so. Scissor me timbers is what they say on the high seas of space in Star Wars now. Oh dear, oh dear. There we go. Well, let's